Okay, alrighty. So, first things first here, I wanted to cover a couple of the news events and things that kind of happened here in the last, since we spoke. Last week was pretty crazy with me for work here, so apologize, didn't get online with you guys here last week. As far as the overall markets and stuff go, Bitcoin's been kind of running at a snail's pace here, but we got some exciting stuff as far as with Ripple and XRP, and some things that are happening now live with that, and why I expect that to definitely send XRP flying higher, like I've been saying for quite a while. It's one that I think is going to take a little bit longer to get going, and it still is kind of tied to what Bitcoin does. I don't expect that to continue, and I'll go into my reasons why, as I've been stating and talking about. But first off, wanted to talk to you guys a little bit on why I believe regulations are right around the corner. Why I think that we're going to start seeing some movement on that rather quickly. Also kind of my viewpoints on why regulations are in place in the first place, not just in the crypto space, but the financial markets in general, and just about really any industry in general. And I wanted to show you guys a book here. Let me pull this up quick. It's a book I've read a while ago. Great read. I would really recommend it to anybody that would like a little more insight into what I'm talking about here. Pull this up. Okay, you see that? The book is called Extortion by Peter Schweitzer, How Politicians Extract Your Money, Buy Votes, and Line Their Own Pockets. This book came out in 2013. Absolutely love this book. It really gives insight into really how Washington works. It's worked this way for a long time, and it's honestly just getting worse. I know as much as people would love for Trump to drain the swamp and all the things that he said in his campaign for these things to come true, the deep state and how Washington works and how deeply rooted this stuff is, no one person is going to change it. No one person is going to do away with what's been going on for decades and decades and decades. So why I'm showing you this book, and I would really recommend this to anybody that hasn't read it, literally how Washington works, how Congress works, and how very little people know this, which is disgusting. Literally, our congressmen have basically all corporations, whether it be the CEOs, head of the board of directors, whoever it is that's high up on the chain, they literally will have these guys on speed dial. And how it typically works, they will literally call up, say, CEO of XYZ company, and they will say, we're going to have a vote tomorrow in the Senate or the House, whatever it is, and literally they're going to say, this is what's going to happen if it goes through, this is what's not going to happen if it doesn't go through, what can you do for me? And literally they will extort these companies, these CEOs, whoever it is, to the fullest extent. They will literally be tied to their bank accounts, and literally have these guys on the speed dial for wiring money back and forth. It's no surprise why either any male or female that gets involved goes in, they do term after term after term, continue to get voted in, and after 20, 30, 40 years, they came in like Joe Blow off the street, and they come out worth tens of millions of dollars. This is how they do it. This is how they do it. And for them to begin extorting the crypto space, they're going to have regulations in place, and they will do the same stuff. They will approach and talk and get involved with the heads of these exchanges, the heads of these companies, and this is what they'll do. They will say, hey, this is what we're voting on. This is the regulations that are coming down the pipe. You know, I can vote yay or nay on this for you. What can you do for me? And this is just how it works. So for them to start extorting these people, the regulations are going to have to be put in place, and trust me, it's coming sooner than it's coming later. In my opinion, it's right around the corner. The SEC has a hearing on June 13th of this year, or excuse me, this month, in Atlanta, and it is going to be covering cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. Let's see if I can pull up the upcoming events. Yep, here we go. So here it is. It'll be this Investing in America, and they're actually they don't actually have it listed on here, but this will be the meeting that they are covering. That they're going to be covering it. It's an Atlanta Investor Town Hall. This is the town hall. They will be having a meeting preceding this or following this that is going to be directly tied to cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and blockchain. So it's more in the spotlight every single day. These guys want it to happen fast. The exchanges want it to happen fast. So we just have to be patient. It is coming, but believe you me, it's coming soon. I want to go to the main Coinbase page here as well. These guys are having another scheduled maintenance update that might have just concluded. I think they're having it here at 8 o'clock, I believe. There we go. Yep, here it is. So, and actually another 48 minutes. So they're having another scheduled maintenance again tonight, this time for an hour and a half. The last time they had a scheduled maintenance here was just the other night as well. Yeah, here on the 29th. So this is the first time that Coinbase has had literally scheduled maintenance 2 times in a week. They had not had a scheduled maintenance like this on the main Coinbase website literally in over 6 months. I can tell you they're getting ready. They're getting ready for additional coin. I'm not saying anything's going to happen tonight, but they are gearing up. And I was asked earlier over the weekend if I thought that this was going to, not happen soon because of for regulations being put in place first. Coinbase is working very hard directly with the regulators. Believe me, they are talking. The COO has been on Fast Money several times on CNBC here in the last couple of months, and he has reiterated that very much. If they're going to list a token or they're going to add more offerings to their platform, they will not do so if they are in jeopardy of being outside the scope of the law. So again, these maintenances are being done for a reason, because they're going to be adding more offerings here in the near term. Trust me. The other reason why Coinbase, as far as the retail market goes, and I think Coinbase knows that they're not the only shop in town now. Their market share continues to fall and fall and fall, and for that reason, they are now really targeting the institutional money, which is a brilliant move on their part. That's where the most money is going to come from anyways. It's not going to be the retail crowd. So I expect Coinbase will, as things progress and go forward, they will they're going to really try to become the platform of choice for the large money. And with that, they're going to be working closely with the regulators. They want to be a full-fledged compliant SEC exchange. They want the big institutional money to come to them when this stuff gets deployed. So, but with that, I don't know if anybody saw the recent news this week of Bittrex offering straight fiat on their exchange as well. I want to show you this too for anybody that hasn't seen this. So, like I said earlier, what this is going to do, this is going to definitely make Coinbase have to offer more tokens. Because now what Bittrex has done, you can see it right here, the USD markets. You can see it right up top there. So they have the USD to USDT pairing, USD to Bitcoin, USDT to true USD pairings. Right now this is only available for corporate accounts, larger accounts, bigger clients. They are going to open this up to all retail customers. This will be available to all customers with Bittrex. This is how it always happens. They just openly open it up to the bigger money and the bigger clients. But it will be available to everyone here in the short term. And so with that, there's no need for Coinbase now. You don't have to buy Bitcoin through Coinbase or Ethereum or Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash and use that to transfer to an exchange such as Bittrex. Why this is big here in the US, Bitfinex and Kraken are the only other two exchanges that you were allowed to have some fiat for, and Bitfinex just recently shut down all US customer base. So if you're in the US, you can no longer use Bitfinex. And so I've been waiting for this to happen. Bittrex is kind of the only main exchange that I use, and so I've been waiting for this for a very long time. And so again, to maintain that retail customer client base and to stay relevant, Coinbase is going to have to start offering more coins, and they just know it's good for business. The more you can offer, the more customers and money you're going to have flow through your exchange. So those are some of the recent news developments that we've seen this week that I've been following closely. The other, which just came out literally tonight and today, was the launching of SBI virtual currencies in Japan. I've been talking about this for quite a while, as well, as I am a big investor in XRP, very big on XRP for numerous reasons. The reason why SBI launching their service is so big for XRP is because they are only going to deal with XRP. That is all that you can buy initially with them. They will offer Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash at a later date, but the biggest thing with this, SBI is one of the largest banks in Japan, and they have a massive customer base. They have close to, I believe, 70 banks, as well as billions and billions of dollars in assets under management. What this is going to do, this is essentially going to open up access to direct XRP purchasing through the yen, right off basically your banking app. And so a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines, who maybe didn't know the validity of this market, had concerns with security, a safe way to purchase, they now have an established broker and platform that they can trust. And so this is a major deal. They are only open to 20,000 customers here right off the bat. This was their official statement today. but you can see that they are going to start account operations. They will plan to start in July of 2018. So in the next month, they will be opening this up to more and more customers. And the CEO has said right here, yeah, Kitao, he has said well before that the launch of this happened that they would be the largest exchange virtually overnight after launching. So once this gets opened up to new customers and stuff, we're going to see XRP volume explode, and we're going to see literally 20 million people have access to buying XRP basically overnight. So this is a big deal for XRP, just from a trading and speculation perspective. And if I go to the chart here, we saw volume pick up pretty quickly. Yeah, here was the launch today, and you can see we had a quick surge from about 65 to 70 right off the bat. So and again, that was off 20,000 customers. So really excited about that. Been talking about that for months. As the year progresses here and we start going into the end of the year, I expect XRP to just gain more and more traction as more and more banks come on board. The largest bank in Kuwait last week signed up with Ripple. 2 more payment transfer companies as well. That list just continues to grow and grow and grow. If I go to Ripple's website here, see if I can find this here again. I've got this on my phone all the time, but yeah, so you can see right here. The other thing too, I've mentioned this in the, and I think I mentioned this last time on the last webinar I did. SBI has a 10.5% stake in Ripple, the company. So for that, they were one of the groups that basically gave Ripple part of its money in its original startup. Right down here, you can see them. So these guys are sitting on 6.5 billion XRP tokens, and so of course they have a vested interest, and they want to see XRP succeed. They want to see Ripple succeed, and so just on that alone, you're going to see XRP do very well. And like I said, I've talked about it. I believe you're going to see at least 1 in 100 banks switch over. 1% market share for the market that they're targeting. Literally we're going to see XRP go to $10, $13, $15 if 1 in every banks transfer to the Ripple and then XRP platform. I actually think that's on the low end. I think we're going to see 10+% banks switch. It saves banks 40 to 70% a year, and it's not like they're reinventing the wheel. They're literally just they have a real working solution to a real world problem, and that is keeping remittance times on just sending money around the world. They're keeping that, instead of 48 to 60 hours, they can do this in seconds and literally save banks billions of dollars in the process. So I know if I was a bank, I would want to save that money. If I didn't have to have $20 to $30 trillion tied up in Voster and Nostr accounts, I could actually take that money, take 2/3 of that money that I'm going to have held up just because of settlement times, and I can now either re-lend that out to people or reinvest that in whatever it is that I want to invest. I know if I'm a bank, I'm going to do it. And so again, I've mentioned numerous times why I'm big on XRP, and SBI launching today. just definitely reaffirms that for me. Here's their exact website. It is obviously a Japanese website, so if you just type it in SBI on Google, just hit the translate on there, and you can see here what they've got here. Yep, so right now XRP is all they have. They will be adding Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash at a later date. And again, this is done directly from yen to XRP. So, yep, good stuff there. So, okay, let's look at the charts here. I was asked last night about VeChain, and I actually put an idea out last night. Yeah, so at the time I was asked about this, I published this last night. It was about, VEN was sitting at about 368. We're in a longer term uptrend, and we've got an uptrend line. This is on the daily chart. I don't like to look at anything less than a 4 hour, and honestly I look at pretty much everything on the in the crypto space on a daily chart. The reason for that, we just we have hardly any price, historical price. Most of these coins didn't do much of anything, till December of last year. So we literally have 6 months of price to go back and reflect on. And so these markets are still really so heavily manipulated and new in their infancy stages and so volatile that really anything less than a daily, I just really encourage people to stay away from. But anyways, what I wrote here is VEN is setting up nicely as well. We've established a nice uptrend line now that prices are respecting and bouncing off of. This is the third time that prices come down and bounced off this trend line. We have a new current up AB swing as well on the fib, and we touched down almost directly on the 786 and bounced off. And what I said here is we could wait for an EMA crossover and have that curl up under price. That would be best. And so, yeah, we're back above the 200 EMA on the four hour as well. But this is what I was talking about. When this green line can cross the yellow, and we get price to kind of sit on top of those, that'll be a nice launching point. Again, most all this is dependent on what Bitcoin does, right? So we need to know what Bitcoin is doing at all times. And as you can see with VeChain here, we literally just started getting a 200-day EMA. So, there's not even any price beyond what, November? Yeah, November 7th. So we just started getting a 200-day moving average on this. This trend line is holding up nice. We've never had a real retest down, to that 80-cent region. I don't see that coming into play unless Bitcoin, really goes to the floor here, which again I have not ruled out. We are back above our main uptrend line here again. I drew this larger time frame triangle here, and again we're just kind of sitting inside of this. However, since I was on last time, I have been saying if we can get a daily close above this 8,400 region right here, I will look to be bullish on Bitcoin again. I'd really like to get it back above the 200 EMA here as well. But you can see here, price has been going up, and we have had buying volume, but the volume is going down. Okay, if I go to the 4 hour here, Yeah, we've had several rejections up here on the 4-hour, and as you can see, we are starting to come down. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see here with those candles. Let me go back to the daily. So if you look down here on the volume, price has been climbing, but volume has been decreasing. When this typically happens, this is a good indication that price is probably going to reverse. You know, we've gone up 5 of the last 6 days. By no means is that overextended, but the bounces just are getting less and less, right? So back when we had the really big capitulation here in February, we had a nice rally, almost up to 12,000, literally, you know, 80+% in about a 2-week stretch. Then we came down, we bounced again at 6,500, this time only getting to about 10,000. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the final bounce here, but even if we were to come up to the top of this triangle at that 8,800 area, you know, the bounces just keep getting less and less and less, right? And the volume, I mean, if I go back, you know, all the way from the bounce in February, you know, what is volume doing? Volume continues to fall. And this is what I've been talking about. We are going to need a big new rush of capital to come into this market to see any significant increase in the crypto market space as a whole. I think the only way that we'll get there and through that is regulations being set in place so that the big institutional money can come into play. I think that is right around the corner. I will be shocked if we don't see something fully set in place, you know, sometime this summer. So we just, you know, if you're day trading this market, you need to be very, very cautious. You need to be patient. You know, Scott talks about it all the time. You have to take what the market's going to give you. And back in, you know, November and even October and December, you know, the market was giving a lot. The market was giving really a lot. You know, you were patient in February. You bought the low here. You rode that up. You know, you had almost 100% gain in a 2-week period. If you waited again, you know, got in somewhere around here, around the 6,000-7,000 area, rode it back up, you know, there were 60% profits again. I'm not convinced that we're going to continue up from here until we see a lot more volume injected into this. I'm definitely not a bull by any means. I keep telling people that. Now, however, there are, you know, some things that I'm watching fundamentally with some of the stuff that you know, I'm heavily invested in stuff that can definitely move the needle. Let me pull up another one here. So EOS just had their mainnet launch, right? So this is the EOS Bitcoin chart, and we see once the mainnet came out, we had a really nice spike here. On the USD chart, same thing. I said it, you know, last time I was on, the move from basically $4 to 23, that was the mainnet pump, and that's what I talked about. I told people that were expecting, you know, EOS to go through the roof on the mainnet. You know, I explained to him it was definitely buy the rumor, sell the news, which is most often the case. EOS had already made its run. Tron, same thing. it was really virtually about the same time that EOS started making its move as well. Tron was trading about 2.5 cents and ran all the way up to 10. You know, almost 500% gain. You know, that was and that was basically what, middle of March to May 1st. You know, so in a 6-week period, you know, 500%. I said that was a lot of that move for that mainnet launch. Same thing, you know, on this chart here, and it's really very similar to the XRP chart. They're actually virtually almost identical. I mean, you can just see what has happened to XRP volume. Literally no volume in XRP since December. You know, I mean, it's such a drastic fall off. It once this gets going, and that's the thing, you know, December wasn't that long ago, and people you know, forget quite easily just how much money we saw come into the space in just such a short period of time. I'm telling you, when the floodgates open up from the institutions, we're going to be back in that territory again, and it'll be quick, and that's why, you know, Scott talks about it all the time. I keep saying it. I'm just not that concerned with short-term price movements. I'm not. If I were trying to make if I were trying to put food on the table every single day from trading this, it's a different story. I wouldn't recommend. Obviously, there's people that you know, 20-year veterans or 10-year veterans or whatever that have had a lot of success in the forex markets and equities markets and stuff like that. You know, those types of people are trading these markets. For the novice or the beginner or someone with less experience, you know, I just don't recommend that. In fact, these markets are 10 times harder to trade than the forex markets, in my opinion, because you have so much more manipulation. You have so much more uncertainty. You know, the government or headline or whatever, you know, comes out, and it's a negative connotation. You know, we see price just have huge price swings, and literally, you know, 10 to 20% moves in these markets are the norm. And whereas, you know, the traditional forex market or equity market, you know, moves 1 to 2%, you know, on a big day. So you have to put that stuff into perspective. I'm coming at this. I've said it and I'll say it again. You know, I'm coming at this market from more of a, you know, fundamental kind of investor, long-term type of deal. And I see a lot of people in the group and these Telegram channels and stuff that I've been there. I used to do it. You know, they live and die by every single day how these markets move, and you can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot live and die every day by these markets. You will burn yourself out and be out of this industry way faster than you want to be if you have that kind of mindset. And so, you know, I see people trying to play the smaller time frames. You know, that's why I show the daily chart, and that's why, you know, I don't really like to recommend anything smaller than that, especially to people that are trying to learn this business and get started, because the daily just offers so much more clarity. So right now, if someone were to get into XRP, I can tell you right now, you could set your stop at 46 cents. Here's the bottom of this AB. If we have in fact started a new 5-wave set, which again, you know, if Bitcoin is going to go back down to that 5,000 mark or possibly lower, you know, XRP is going to fall back down to 30-40 cents. I mean, that's there's no support really until, you know, into the 30s. So in fact, I'll just draw another line here. here's your support, 30 cents. So I can tell you if this A breaks right here, this would be your A, and your B would be up here. You could set your stop right now at 46 cents, and you can target 132. Actually, we came down to the 8.6, so really, price will probably have a tough time getting past 110 on this fib sequence, but that's pretty good risk to reward, right? So we're at 69 cents. Set your stop at 46, so you've got risk of 23 cents. To make 110 from 69, 41 cents. You're almost 2-to-1 risk reward. And this is how I'd be looking at it. If we want to go down to a 4-hour, we'll throw our fib up. And so Scott wanted me, before I do that, Scott wanted me to show you some patterns and stuff. Guys, I'm not a big pattern trader. The patterns that I'm looking for are like king's crowns, or head and shoulders. Really, the only other patterns I'll look for, are bull flags, bear flags, stuff like that on breakouts. Other than that, I'm just not really a big pattern trader. On Bitcoin here, I've got this big symmetrical kind of triangle here, and I'm not even saying that's really the symmetrical triangle. That's kind of a range that I'm looking at, and the reason why I've drawn it like I have is because we have price touching. Price is starting to really conform to that triangle, and so that's why I've got that there. We really don't have even enough price action in a lot of these other pairs to even do stuff like that. Now this, I drew this just before I came on, so I'll put it there just for look's sake, but that's where price would be for the head. So this is the daily chart of XLM, and again, I'm just showing you here from this point here on the daily time frame. This would be a large scale head and shoulders pattern. Now this began, the end of January, and if it completes like this, we're talking into July. So we're talking a pattern that plays out literally over 6 months. And so this only stays valid. This is only a valid pattern as long as 15 cents doesn't break. The right shoulder could come down to here. For it to be really a good head and shoulders pattern, we really don't want to see price break below 24 cents. And essentially, we have this uptrend line that is holding price. I'm not saying the trend lines are the be-all, catch-all. Really, support and resistance, in my opinion, are really what dictates price. Again, we don't hardly have any price to compare from a historical time. Here's the weekly chart. And this is why I always go back and refer to the weekly chart to people. I mean, this really puts stuff into perspective, right? I mean, we go back to last fall. We literally shot up from 3 to 4 cents to 98 cents, and all we've done now is retraced. Now the retracement is taking longer, but that's how it always plays out. Retracements always take, consolidation retracements always take time. Price consolidates and groups back together, and then finally you'll get more and more buying pressure, and shorts will start to get squeezed out, and then boom, price will accelerate again. But it's going to take time. This is the cycle playing out over and over and over. So these are really the patterns that I'm looking for. Again, this is like a 6-month pattern on the daily. you know, price has broken back above the 200 EMA. We're now back above the 8 and the 18. The 8 is getting ready to cross over on the 18. You know, this is starting to look attractive. You know, we had a counter trend line break here. We've broken a counter trend line. Again, as long as Bitcoin doesn't drop to the floor, you know, we're starting to see these patterns on a lot of stuff. I mean, here, ARC. It's not the most conventional, but it is there. Not as deep a one, but it is there. Are we starting to see a lot of the same trend lines here? Yep, the angle of that trend line is pretty similar to what we've seen on some others. Let's go check out some more pairs here. So here's Omigos, OMG dollar. OMG was another one that just unbelievable growth. Unbelievable. Literally went from $1 back in July, you know, 1st of August basically to $30. This one we wouldn't have a head and shoulder because the left shoulder, that wick was actually lower than where the head would be here. Yeah, and honestly, I'm not loving the looks of the OMG chart. OMG looks a lot like Lisk. I got burned on Lisk. Kind of a little bitter about it, but same thing. You know, Lisk went from $1 to $2 to 40. I mean, it was just 42. Then we came all the way down to 12, and then this was right before the rebrand event. Just an insane 200% in about 10 days, 2 weeks. I'm not loving the Lisk chart, but we are definitely much lower to a bottom than we are a peak. Same thing, I posted this idea last night. Yep, posted this head and shoulder last night. We broke that neckline earlier today. EMA is holding us down right now, the 200. The 8 is well above the 18. I actually expected us to come down to this trend line first, and so could we come back down, retest this trend line, then re-break the neckline? That's kind of more in line with what I would expect. Draw this fib sequence now on the 4 hour. If that is in fact our AB, then I would expect price to come back down to this 9.25. If we come back down to really make a deep right shoulder, come back down one more time off that trend line, this would be the 618 also. That'd be around 8.68, and then we can expect, you know, price to go up to that D extension, which would be 1165, then retrace back down. And then we can expect our wave 5 you know, take us up to around that 13 mark. Again, if Bitcoin cooperates here, continues to climb, you know, this is how I expect it to play out. Yeah, so Max is asking on the inverse head and shoulders to the top of the right shoulder match top of the left shoulder. Technically, they should. This is a symmetrical, you know, head and shoulders pattern. It doesn't have to every time match exactly where the left shoulder is. The rules for this are the same as a king's crown. As long as the right shoulder does not extend beyond the head, you know, that's an invalid pattern. You know, this you know, this could technically be our right shoulder. That neckline's broke. You know, as long as the right shoulder has not dipped lower than the head, then the pattern isn't invalidated. So, good question, but no, they don't have to be. Here's another one that I've been watching. Zilliqua has just made an unbelievable move. This is the Zilliqua Bitcoin chart. Let's see if they have ZIL-USD on here yet. No. Let's see here on big fit pattern. Daily. There we go. Yeah, so for ZIL, really I could see this retracing all the way back to this trend line with the 618. That would be probably a pretty good area. Again, there's virtually no price history here. Really, the only even remote place we've had some kind of support resistance is all the way there. You know, and then a little bit here. Now we're kind of forming a cluster a little bit in here. Let's look at theta. You guys have anything you guys want me to look at specifically? Anything you guys are in right now or looking to get in? Wow. So they've got 5 days of, I don't know what, 1, 2, 3, 4, about a week. So theta literally just got added. I won't even bother with that one. Yeah, polychain the same way. There's pretty much all we've got for polychain. support here. It looks to be breaking that right now. Yeah, I'd be looking for poly to come down quite a bit. Okay, ICX and sub. We'll do ICX sub and then Neo. Okay, so I always recommend to everybody, when I go into a chart, I always start with larger time frames. Larger time frames always control the smaller time frames. I haven't invested in ICX, so I haven't paid much attention to it. But yeah, man, it's wow. This one has come down a lot. So if we take the entire move from December to the all-time high on the daily, we are actually sitting right at the 8.6 right now on the weekly chart. Yeah, we don't even have a 200-day EMA yet on this because of such little price history. Are you guys currently in this one, or are you looking to get in, or what's your position on this? Okay, so Max is asking, do you typically look at the USD pairing even if it doesn't exist on the exchange? I use the USD because it's just easier for me to look at. But no, I always tell people you need to know what the corresponding Bitcoin chart's doing as well, because that's what you're going to be trading against. A lot of these alts right now, are stronger than Bitcoin, like we can see right here, even on this pair. ICX icon in comparison to Bitcoin, it's higher off the lows compared to Bitcoin than it is on the USD. So you're in this pair right now. The other thing I explained in a webinar a couple weeks ago, the dollar is going up right now. Probably going to see it retrace some here in the short term, but the overall bias of the dollar continuing to go up this year is quite high with interest rates rising and stuff that the Fed's doing, tightening monetary policy and stuff like that. That's been part of the reason why Bitcoin has been weaker. Last year was one of the worst years for the dollar in quite some time. That helped really accelerate why Bitcoin also did so well against the dollar. You know, that's changed this year. The dollar is going to be stronger. You know, so it's going to take you know, money that maybe was flowing into Bitcoin last year isn't going to be flowing into it maybe as much this year because USD is kind of seen more as a safe haven. You know, still currently. With rising interest rates and stuff like that, you know, the dollar is going to appreciate. But to answer your question, the reason why I look at it in USD terms is because that's what I'm comparing against as far as an investment goes. You know, going back to fiat or whatever. So just to monitor the chart and look at it, I'm looking at it in USD, but I also want to know what it's doing against Bitcoin. If Icon is strong against Bitcoin and Bitcoin is stronger than the dollar, then Icon USD is going to be really strong because it's going to be stronger than both Bitcoin and the dollar. So as far as being in this pair, you know, this thing has come down a lot from its all-time high. I haven't been following this one, so I don't know what market cap on this one was at the peak. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so market cap is $4.5 billion. You know, it's sitting at $1 billion right now. Absolutely think, you know, no doubt that once the run kicks in, absolutely, it have no problem going back to all-time highs. You know, I'd say this is a phenomenal area to be accumulating. You know, this thing's off the highs by almost 80%. You know, current. You know, I'd say that $2 range is going to be a strong level of support. Get another level of support here now. You know, 250. Kind of starting to get a little bit of a rounding pattern here. Possible this thing could come back down and retest. You know, depends on what your time frame is, I guess, on this. If you bought at the all-time highs, or you know, I don't know what your buy price is on this, but no, this is one that, you know, I would definitely say we are much closer to a bottom than we are a top. That's no doubt. I'd say you're in pretty good shape to be accumulating in these areas. Absolutely. Okay, substratum. We'll look at that. So we're seeing, you know, again, this is another chart with a similar pattern, right? You know, we're establishing these longer term uptrend lines. You know, we've had price relatively, you know, respect this trend line quite a bit. Again, this is the sub BTC chart. Oof. Yeah, this is another one. Wow, this one is way off its highs. I'm not gonna lie, from a technical standpoint, this thing looks extremely weak. I mean, this thing's been non-stop selling pressure. This is another one that I haven't been involved in. From a project standpoint, I know a little bit about Substratum. I think what they're trying to do is great. Where's this one at here? Oh wow, this one's falling all the way to 90th. Yeah, not much volume. What did this thing hit at the peak? 700 million. Are you in this one right now? Yeah, I mean, it's another one. I don't know what price you're in. You know, you're way closer to a bottom than you are a peak, right? What we can do here. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if this thing bounces off this trend line, if that trend line's even going to hold. And this thing looks really weak. Well, if you're in low, you know, if it's a project you believe in, I'd just be patient with this one. You know, it's at 43 cents right now. If you wanted to set a stop at 30 cents below this low here, what would really be our new A-B swing. Otherwise, you know, I'd deploy some more fiat and add to it here lower if it's one you're high on. Really, from a technical standpoint, as far as any indications of a bullish movement, I don't see much right now. You know, your risk to reward is great down here. We're sitting at the 8.6, so we, you know, if this does get the bounce we're expecting, you know, the extension is up here at 115. So as far as a risk reward trade goes, great reward to risk. You know, I would expect, you know, there's pretty good support here around that 28, 25 cent, 30 cent area. That would be, you know, just below this A. So, you know, there's a chance this A might hold here. But yeah, this is another one. Not much of a bounce here. Looking for a turnaround. I myself would much rather like to see price above the 200 EMA here. Get the 8 and the 18 curled up under it. Get a crossover here. You know, then I'd feel good about going to the upside. That would be my personal play. But if this is one that long-term project that you feel good in at, you're certainly at a low price for accumulation. I mean, all-time high was, you know, over $3. Pretty similar to the XRP chart. You know, 8 is another one. You know, 8 is just sitting here off these lows. Not much of a bounce. 8 is another one. We don't have enough data here even for a 200 EMA. But again, for those that believe in the ADA project and stuff, these are low levels to accumulate at. Yeah, let's look at NEO. Me personally with NEO, I don't know that I'm as big of a fan of NEO today as I was before. The argument of NEO being, the Chinese Ethereum and being big in China, I don't know that they run a very, very low node count, which really takes away the idea of really decentralization. If I were to make a pick over who I think is actually going to have more clout in China, I would actually be going towards VeChain. That would be my own personal opinion. I'm not in either of these, just a disclaimer, but I don't know that I'm as big on NEO today as I was. NEO chart is really similar to the Ethereum though. Yeah, I mean all these blockchain, the core blockchain, all these charts have very, very similar patterns right now. So let's get our support resistances in here. Guys, when I'm putting my support and resistances in, I'm looking for clusters. I'm looking for, and that's why I say it's harder to do this on crypto pairs than it is like Forex, because there's just not nearly as much price history. Yeah, I'll go back to ADA here after I go through this. But we do have some price points here now where prices is respecting that, and really what we're seeing in NEO is the same as what we're seeing in Bitcoin. Bounces are less, right? I mean, literally, it's almost identical. Bounces are less, and so if you're looking to day trade, if you're looking to take shorter term plays on these markets. The play now really is you just got to take less from the market. The market's just giving less right now. So for me as an investor and as more of a long-term player in this game, I'm looking at this as we are, on NEO the high was 200. We're at 56. We are much closer to a bottom than we are at top. Do I think NEO is gonna have a great chance to go back to its all-time highs when this thing gets going and even probably breach it? Yeah, absolutely. From a long-term perspective, if I'm trying to pick the long-term blockchain winner, I can't say I'm as confident today as picking NEO will be one of the top ones as maybe I was 6 months ago. I don't think we have to worry about picking the real long-term winners, but I have said it several times, this number keeps growing literally every day. We're up to 1,639 coins, and virtually 1,500 of these are nothing but crap. And they will go to zero eventually. Probably actually even more than that. So you want to be careful. I am in a small token right now that is outside. It shows up here as a 1379. It's only on one exchange here, Livecoin. But our holding is not very big. And I wouldn't recommend putting a whole bunch of money in something even outside the top 50, and even stuff in the top 50. There's a or even the top 25. There is a high likelihood that out of the coins in the top 25, only 18 of them might survive, maybe 20, or 5 or 7 may survive. That's really the reality. A lot of this stuff is heavily off speculation. A lot of this is off of launches, expected launches coming up and stuff like that. And a lot of these projects haven't proven themselves, right? So again, I think if someone's going to invest in the top 50 coins, you're going to come out a winner when this next thing kicks off. My viewpoints on that have not changed at all. I don't think we're at a point where we have to worry about the long-term winners. Now, if things happen, such as Verge getting hacked again the other day, that to me would definitely concern me. It's not the first time they've been hacked. There's clearly an issue there with their protocol. It's not to say that they won't get it fixed, but when you have things like that happen, there's a lot of these coins that I know are some of the top favorites of a lot of people, well-known projects, and I really think they're going to be the next BitConnect. I really do. I don't think they're going to live up to the hype. I don't think they're going to deliver on what they say they do, and that's why I'm not invested in them. But as far as a technical perspective here on NEO, looks to me, NEO's kind of fallen actually, with Bitcoin. We've got this uptrend line. It's respected this trend line very well, very nicely. If I look at the bigger wave count here, from a corrective standpoint, if that is in fact our ABC corrective, and this is our bottom, again, a lot of that's dependent on what Bitcoin does, but again, one could put their stop just below here at 43. We've gone all the way to the 8.6. You can target back up here to 106 again. To me, that's really great risk reward, right? Getting in at 56, set your stop at 43, and go for 106. These are the things I look for. Again, if you want to go to a 4-hour, do a lesser, smaller play. On a 4-hour perspective, I'd let this come back down. We'll probably see this come back down to 52, 51 area, somewhere in here. Your stop could go at 47. If we come down here, say we come to the 5.0 here, get in at 52. Now you can target 65. That's really good risk reward. These are the things that I look for. Just a month ago here, we were all the way to 96, came all the way down to 47. It's a pretty steep drop. And this could very easily, and if Bitcoin is going to continue to make its move up from here, we've just completed wave 1. So like Scott always teaches, let's get in here at wave 2, somewhere in here, make our extension. This will be our new AB boundary, right? At that extension. So here's our new AB sequence. Let's let wave 4 come down. If we come back down to the 5.6, 382, the 80-20 rule, we should come down to 382. That aligns with wave 1. And and now we go for our de-extension. Here's a possible 5-wave count scenario. And this will be our new fib sequence. Here's wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, take us to the extension. And wave 5, So that's kind of how we look at the wave counts. Bigger time frame always controls the smaller time frames. So these are the things just to constantly look for. The biggest thing as a trader and investor, you need to find out, and I harp on this all the time. You need to find out what type of a trader and investor you want to be. Do you want to stare at the charts all the time? Do you want to be trading smaller time frames, or do you want to be, living your life not attached to the charts, and trade on the larger time frames? The markets make the same patterns. It's just dependent on the time frame. So it is, absolutely important that you figure out what type of a trader you want to be. What you need to learn, what your character traits are, big time in this business. You need to know how you operate, how you work, because that's really going to dictate what you do as an investor and a trader. And it took me a very, very, very long time to figure that out. I'm working on some stuff personally with one of my mentors right now, as far as mindset and my mental state and emotional state and stuff like that. I can't say it enough in this business. This business and game is 90% psychology and really 10% skill, and I can't emphasize that enough. Your mindset and how you perceive things and how you view things, and I'm not just talking about trading and investing in the charts, I'm talking about life in general and stuff. That's going to come across in your trading, and if you can have a stellar mindset, you are going to have a stellar trading and investing business. It seems like we've been just nothing but down and in the dumps in this asset class now for better part of 6 months. It's really been dragging on, but really the grand scheme of things, this is how the cycle plays out. When you have these impulsive moves up like we saw at the end of last year, this is just the market doing its thing. And like I said, it's more magnified in this asset class because there is so much more uncertainty, and the regulations getting in place, and there's just so much more stuff that we're dealing with in this asset class that you just don't deal with in traditional asset classes, that it's just going to take time. We're in the beginning stages of it. It's going to be extreme ups, it's going to be extreme downs, and as long as you're prepared for that, you're going to be fine. I would say, as far as NEO goes, we're much closer to a bottom than we are a top. Even right here, we're off 70% from the high. We are below the 200 EMA. We're about to get a crossover on the 8 and the 18 again. Those are the things I would look for. We have had a trend line break here, which is good. like I said, you know, this from a short-term perspective, your reward to risk is really good. If this is the start of new wave counts, you can put yourself in a pretty good risk-reward ratio here. So with that, guys, I'm gonna call it a night here on that. Yeah, you know, just the overall market, we're in a very tight range right now. Things been moving kind of slow. I mean, honestly, Bitcoin's been stuck in a $700 range here for almost a week. What I do like here on the weekly chart, if this does hold, we are making higher lows. Now we have to start seeing some real momentum kick in here eventually. You know, like I said, this triangle to me is what's going to really dictate where this thing goes. We get a breakout one way or another, and that's where it's going to go. So I won't be shocked if for the next 2 to 3 weeks, you know, we stay range bound in here. We get a clean break above this, I will definitely be bullish again. And this is what I keep telling people too, you know, it is not going to take a whole lot for the market to become bullish again. And when you look at this on the weekly time frame, that's why I'm not convinced that this is going to hold. I think we're going to drop lower. I think the market needs to come down more to really get some real momentum and some buying pressure. Again, I've talked about the mining, you know, that 5,000 area. I really believe that will hold. As time goes on here more, the 200 EMA just continues to climb. So this to me is the absolute bottom for Bitcoin, at least for this year, for now, with what's going on in the overall sentiment of the market and stuff like that. But you can see here from the weekly chart, we break above 10,000 and we break above 12,000. You know, we get above these highs here, we go straight to 17,500, almost like that. You know, that's really where we're at here. So when it happens, it will happen, and it will happen fast. Again, I think we're going to come down lower again before we go higher. But like I've been telling people, we get a daily close above 8,400. I will be bullish again, especially if we break out of this triangle here. But yeah, we get a close above here. You know, I definitely think we're going to go back and retest 10,000, and that would get us out of this triangle. So we'll have to see. We get back above these EMAs and we get those curled up under price, you know, then things could get exciting again. And my viewpoints haven't changed. I just think we got a little bit more time here. Again, that meeting coming up on June 13th, I think that will speed things up, and I don't think we're far away from that stuff. More and more things are happening literally each week, and to me, it's for the positive. So appreciate your time, guys. I hope you learned something. I'll continue to work on my presentations to you guys, and hopefully bringing value. If I'm not bringing value, then I don't want to waste your time. But hopefully you learned something, and we'll keep on with it here. So thanks, guys. You guys have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.